We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, presented by Phaedra Bhagoutie.
The novel We Were Liars by E. Lockhart follows the main character Cadence as she tries to remember what happened the day of her accident. In the novel, it is later revealed that the night of her accident, Cadence, with her aunt's new boyfriend's nephew Gat and her two cousins Johnny and Mirren, went to the Wildermere house and set it on fire. They did this due to the unhealthy relationship between Cadence Sinclair and her mother, Harris Sinclair and his three daughters, and the desire for the Wildermere house. This ultimately leads to the unfortunate and sad deaths of Johnny, Mirren, and Gat. Cadence Sinclair and her mother Penny Sinclair's relationship start well, but quickly goes wrong. But it is ultimately one of the unhealthy relationships in this novel that leads to the deaths of Cadence Sinclair's cousins and best friends, Johnny, Mirren, and Gat. The divorce between Penny and Cadence's father starts the issues with Penny's relationship with her daughter. The way Penny handled the situation towards Cadence started the resentment Cadence starts to feel for her mother throughout the novel. For example, on the day her father packed up and left, Cadence began to cry. Her mother, however, handled the situation in a bad way, snapping at Cadence, saying, "Get hold of myself. Be normal. Now," she said. "Right now," she said. At this moment in the novel, Cadence begins to resent Penny. The resentment that Cadence has towards her mother is one of the unhealthy relationships that leads to the Windermere house being burnt down by Johnny, Mirren, Gat, and Cadence, which essentially lead to their deaths and Cadence getting hurt. The day prior to the Windermere fire, Cadence became very angry at her mother for not standing up for Gat when Bess said something hurtful about him, which gave them the idea to get rid of the Windermere house. The three sisters all want to inherit a certain house. However, Harris would always change who was going to inherit the home in a way to mock the sisters and cause issues among them. Harris, in his mind, believes that his daughters have done nothing but disappointed him, as he says in the text, "This island is our home, as it was my father's and my grandfather's before him. And yet the three of you women, with these divorces, broken homes, this disrespect for tradition, this lack of a work ethic, you have done nothing but disappoint an old man who thought he raised you all right." Harris is telling his daughters the truth about what he thinks about their lives and how he thought that he raised them to be better. This quote from the text also shows how weak the relationship with Harris and his daughters really is. Harris does not think that any of them should inherit anything from him, especially an important house they all want. This causes more conflicts between the three sisters, Carrie, Bess, and Penny. Overall, the unhealthy relationship with Harris and his three daughters is a contributing factor that later in the novel plays a big role in the deaths of Johnny, Mirren, and Gat. The reason why is because a couple nights before the accident, Cadence and Gat overheard the aunts arguing over the house they all wanted, which was called the Windermere house. The night before the accident, Gat and Cadence overheard the aunts arguing about the Windermere house, saying a lot of hurtful things to each other. Gat and Cadence heard Aunt Bess say, "You choose not to have it," said Bess. "You choose Ed. You choose to live with him. You choose to bring Gat here every summer when you know he's not one of us. You know the way Dad thinks. And you not only keep running around with Ed, you bring his nephew here and parade him around like a defiant little girl with a forbidden toy. Your eyes have been wide open all the time." As Cadence is listening, she becomes angry and angrier that her own mother wouldn't say anything to defend Gat. They figure out that the argument is over the Windermere house, which was the first house that was built on this island and was the home they lived and had grown up in, which was the importance of the house and why everybody wanted it. Gat and Cadence then came up with an idea to set the home on fire. As it states in the text, "What if God set it up in flames? Thus he would punish the greedy, the pretty, the prejudiced, the normal, and the unkind. They would repent of all their deeds, and after learn to love one another again. Be a family, stay a family." And yet, it was punishment, purification through flames. This quote that I'm about to read is a very important quote from the text. The plan was simple. We would find spare jugs of gas, the ones kept in the shed for the motorboats. There were newspapers and cardboard in the mudroom. We'd built piles of recycling and soaked those in gasoline. We'd soak the floors as well. Stand back and light the paper towel roll and throw it in. Easy. This quote is relevant because it shows how Johnny, Mira, Gat, and Cadence had to come up with a plan to get rid of the Windermere house so that the relationships with everyone in the family could be healed. This quote is also relevant because it shows how the desire for the Windermere house causes Johnny, Mira, Gat, and Cadence to come up with a way to stop all the fighting and arguing. In this case, it is setting the house on fire, which in the end kills Johnny, Mira, and Gat. In conclusion, it is the relationship between Cadence St. Clair and her mother, as well as the relationship with Harris St. Clair and his 3 daughters, and finally the desire for the Windermere house that causes the sad and unfortunate deaths of Johnny, Mira, and Gat.